We are now at the 15th episode of Flippin' Friday, ladies and gentlemen, and today's episode is going to be a really good one. I paid just $565 for everything on the table here, but you could easily turn this to be less than $500 if you don't pay for an overpriced graphics card like I do. And even if you aren't into PC flipping, this is just going to be a really good $500 gaming PC build guide. Let's start building this thing. So real quickly for the performance parts that we're rocking today, first up we have the Intel i3-10105F that I picked up on Jawa actually for only $70, which is definitely a deal and a half. Over on Newegg, I picked up this Gigabyte B460M DS3H motherboard for only $61. That's also a really good deal. I also got this YOLO white 2x8GB kit clocked at 3200 megahertz. This wasn't on a deal, just $51 on Amazon like it always is. And then for the graphics card, this is the exact opposite of a deal. This is a Founders Edition, which I'm actually really looking forward to, the GTX 980, but I paid $190 for it several months ago during the peak of the GPU shortage, but you definitely do not want to be paying that kind of money on a 980 right now. Now, before we start building, I actually want to make sure that I grab a Windows 10 key here. And oh, you're wondering what this laptop tablet is? This is actually the brand new Microsoft Surface Pro 8 that Best Buy hooked me up with, and they're actually the sponsor of today's video. Now, I personally just got my hands on this new Pro 8 model, along with the Slim Pen 2 and Surface Pro signature keyboard, and I can already tell that this is going to completely change up my workflow for my business here at the ZTT HQ. This Windows 11 charged laptop/tablet device is perfect for people like me that not only sit at a desk for several hours a day, but also like to get mobile and creative, which is exactly what this device allows me to do. It's also packing some serious performance with the Intel i5-1135G7 CPU, so I have no problems editing photos or even videos with it, and honestly, I can't stop looking at this beautiful 2880 by 1920 display. It's also super fun to unfold the signature keyboard and adjust the angle depending on how I'm working, and being able to use the pen for quick notes or even advanced photo editing in Photoshop has been super clutch for me as well. The kicker here is that Best Buy is offering 24-month financing for all Surfaces priced $699 and up, and that offer actually ends really soon, so you need to take advantage now. Get your back-to-school shopping done early and do not wait. Big thanks again to Best Buy for sponsoring today's video and hooking your boy up with all these products. Be sure to click the links down in the description because there's actually some more budget models that are definitely very interesting as well. All right, so like I say with every successful flip, you really need to start things off with a solid CPU and motherboard combo, and this Intel i3-10105F just continues to dominate these budget builds, especially if you pair it with a super budget B460 or B560 motherboard. And that's exactly what we did here today. This is the Gigabyte B460M DS3H, which you guys know I've used so many times already. I paid only $61 for this, used off Amazon Warehouse, which is a really good deal. But then to pair that again with the CPU, the 10105F, I paid just $70 for this, and I actually found this on Jawa. And you guys already know at this point, I've been going to Jawa lately to get really good deals like this one. If you haven't heard me talk about it though before, Jawa.gg is shaping up to be an amazing resource for us PC flippers because the admin team actually goes through the orders and makes sure that no one is scalping on there, and there's a lot of people in there selling some really nice parts at some great prices. You can also go there if you want a gaming PC completely already built for you. I'll have them linked down in the description. Again, I'm just now realizing that I made the same mistake that I've been making in multiple Flippin' Friday episodes, but again, we're using this WD Blue SN570. It's a great SSD for the price. They've been going on sale for like $39 to $45, but they look super ugly, and you can't just leave these on the motherboard like this with that blue PCB, so you gotta keep a bunch of those M.2 heat sinks that are all black in stock and ready to go for builds like this. I just went to talk about our power supply, and for the first time in honestly the history of ZTT, I actually forgot to buy cable extensions for this build. And with the aesthetics over everything mindset, there's absolutely no way I'm gonna finish this build without the extension. So I'm gonna grab the build that I literally just built like 12 hours ago on the Thirsty Thursday PC building live stream. And these are the exact extensions that I wanted, the Asia Horse white cables. So unfortunately, I'm gonna undo all of the work I just did, rip these cables out of this build. That way we have them for Flippin' Friday, and then I'll replace these afterwards. Now that we have the cable extensions, I did want to talk about this EVGA 650 GT. And now that we're out of the graphics card shortage, we're actually in a little bit of a power supply shortage. You can definitely buy power supplies right now, but there's no real like consistent deals that are happening with power supplies. So these 650 GTs were actually $36 on EVGA B stock a couple of weeks ago. So naturally your boy bought 10 of them. And if you are hunting for a lot of power supplies like I usually am, I would highly recommend creating multiple EVGA accounts. It's probably illegal, I'm not really sure, but they've been consistently sending me a bunch of these power supplies because you can only buy 2 per order. But quick little tip there, if you're trying to get something like these 650 GTs, $36, you're definitely not gonna beat that deal anywhere on the internet. Now that our motherboard and our power supply are properly prepped, it's time to get out our case, and this is the Lian Li LanCool 205M, and I was super excited to use this in a build like this one today. I've been really anxious to try to create an all-white aesthetic, but wrapped around the green RGB lights in the NVIDIA Founders Edition graphics card. So I think this is gonna look awesome, and I knew right away that for a build like this, I had to whip out some of these Easy DIY Moonlight fans. Easy DIY actually sent these over per my request, but these just look so good, and the green light on these is gonna hopefully match perfectly with our Founders Edition graphics card. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove the 2 included fans that the LanCool 205M comes with and just completely equip it with the Moonlight fans. We're also gonna put one of them on our CPU cooler. Let's get this thing rolling. We're almost done building here, and I did make one little screw up. I was assuming that I could get these Easy DIY Moonlight fans on this ID Cooling CPU cooler, but with the way that the holes are set up on this fan, I actually cannot use the bracket that comes included. So I'm gonna have to revert back to the normal ID cooling fan that it came with. I'm actually just not gonna plug in the RGBs. I don't want these colors clashing with the colors on the front fan. Maybe I'll turn them on. We'll see what happens, but regardless, I'm gonna have to go back to this ID cooling fan instead of using the Moonlight ones. Unfortunately, I really prefer trying to use the same fan throughout the entire build, but we just can't do that with the CPU cooler. We're gonna turn on this system here, and I just discovered that I actually can't make the aesthetics exactly how I drew it up, because I thought I was gonna set these RGB fans to green, and you can see here that the green is just a little overpowering. It also doesn't perfectly match with the GeForce GTX on our Founders Edition graphics card, but I actually really like how it looks all white and bright in here, and then that green really pops, and I actually think it looks really cool. And as far as the ID cooling fan goes, for whatever reason, it didn't work no matter which RGB port I plugged in to the motherboard. I'm not sure if it's faulty or maybe I gotta do some further digging, but if we just leave it off, it actually looks pretty good solid. But this is what the overall aesthetics are looking like. Let's take a quick look at the full parts list and then we'll benchmark this build. So here you have the full parts list, and like I said earlier, you definitely could get a bit better pricing than I did here. I personally paid $190 for this GTX 980 several months ago, but they are now readily available on the used market for around $100 to $120, and that'll drop your build total to less than $500, which would be awesome. I would shoot close to a $200 profit on a build like this. Everyone knows that the 980 is a little dated at this point, but we're about to see in the benchmarks that it can definitely still kick it in 1080p. And here are those exact results. I do want to mention that depending on the game, you could potentially see a slight CPU bottleneck with the 10100F and the GTX 980 combo. This isn't 100% the most optimized and meta combination for most games, but you should be perfectly fine, and you can see that we still got some really solid FPS numbers. And then just like always, this build will be for sale over my website, zackstechdrift.com. This will go up on our July 1st launch. You can also click the video that's on the screen now if you want to see some more Flippin' Friday episodes where there was absolutely zero bottleneck, but either way, I'll catch you in the next episode.